Did you know that throughout history, millions, so many people died and are just surviving still today and not thriving? Stick with me, because in this video today, I'm going to reveal to you the secret of nutrition. And this is part of that secret that unlocks all the nutrition that you need to not just survive, but thrive, not get sick, but feel amazing with abundant, endless sources of energy. Get your notebooks out and strap in, because it's about to get real. It's about to get live. And it's so delicious. It's about to get wonderful. You can see behind me, behind the whiteboard, there's a tree with an abundant amount of these flowers. Now, there is no one food that is going to give you, all the nutrition that you need. Okay? That's part of me showing you that we have such a misconception and have been marketed to so heavily that we think one food is going to solve all of our problems. And usually, even when we have a problem, there is a nuance or there is multiple reasons why we have that problem. It's not just about working smarter or working harder. It's about doing this on the multiple planes of reality. So before we even start, let's get a little spiritual and give thanks. Give thanks to the source, the infinite intelligence, God, the creator of creation, that we are here and we are abundant. That's the Christ code to not just consciousness, but thriving in nutrition and health, is believing, expecting, knowing that you are only getting better and better. And that's the spiritual plane, right? Soul or spirit. And then we have the mental plane to really believe that this works, because the cause of all effect is in between your ears. To know that you can do it, to have faith in yourself, to expect for better things to happen, not say, oh, I am so fat, the identity, I am not worth it, I'm big boned, I'm genetically programmed to fail. That is a identity. Someone convinced you that you're less than great. So let's tap in and let's understand that you are absolutely amazing and you're capable of anything great. And now let's get physical. Remember, that's about 1/3 of everything that's happened in the physical plane. That's why it's so important to give appreciation, imagination, tap into that spiritual and that mental plane of existence that so many people forget about, especially with nutrition and fitness. You've tried everything before. Maybe this is the missing link. Not just the information, because this information you probably have not experienced before, because sometimes we skip over the simplicity. And as Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication. The truth is simple, lies are complicated. I'm going to go over the simplest aspects of nutrition today. So we have 6 essential nutrients. Right before I get into that, I want to just go into a few reasons why to do this. Number 1 is right now and throughout the past 100 years, heart dis-ease. You don't have ease within your heart. I'm not just talking about spiritual and mentally, but that could be part of it, because it's been known for decades that stress, and still some doctors, scientists, researchers, textbooks, they think that stress is accounting for 90% of our diseases and illness. If you're stressed out, we think nutrition is 90%. It's about 3%. We have over 33 human needs. And one of them is to be stress-free and relaxed, because if you're stressed, you can't digest. Stay it with me. If we're stressed, we can't digest. If you hear about someone that's really close to you is sick or dead, or even a being, right? Some people call our pets someones, right? And they are. If an animal that you're really close with dies, most likely the last thing you're going to think about is eating. There are very few people that stress eat under these horrible situations. Most of the time at a funeral, the person that is mourning is not really eating so much, even though there's a decadent, abundant amount of food. We cannot digest if we're stressed. Dis-ease. Heart disease has been the #1 killer for the past 100 years. And we keep on clogging the drains. It's even known within the plumbing community, and they have put this out. I've seen this at many community centers and gatherings for environmental awareness. Fog. Don't put fats, oils, or grease down the drain because it gets it clogged, causes environmental distress. You might have to put chemicals down the drain or call someone to get something fixed and use more resources when all you had to do is preventative medicine. It's not put fats, oils, grease down the drain. What does that have to do with nutrition? Same thing, we have a drain. It's a little different, of course, yet when you put too much fats, oil, and grease down your digestive system, you get clogged up. You get what we call plaque, right? So most people don't know that our arteries and veins, they're like the size of a coffee straw. You breathe through a coffee straw, it's very challenging. Some of them can be the size of a straw or almost a pencil because they are elastic, plasticity. They are able to adjust and adapt. And that happens when we exercise, when we eat right, when we have soluble fibers. They go through not only our intestinal tract, but our bloodstream. Some people have high triglycerides, that is fat in the blood, and plaque. And what happens there? We start to clog this up, and you cannot get blood flow through these pipes because they get clogged up with fats, oil, grease, or fats in the blood, triglycerides, or plaque. And when you have a blockage here, that blockage, if it gets blocked from going to the heart, because this pipe is supposed to go to the heart, or this artery or vein goes to the heart. When we're working out, we actually build capillaries. You see these trees behind me that have branches. We have branches in our arteries and veins. They're called capillaries. You build more of them as you exercise. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you get it clogged up enough, then we have a heart attack. If it gets clogged and doesn't go to your brain, you have a stroke. The second leading cause of death in the United States is stroke. The first one is heart attack. So we go through bypass. My father had a heart attack when I was 9 years old on the way to an amusement center. We ended up in the hospital. So they'll do a stent, so they'll like push that through, or they'll do bypass surgery where they actually will take a vein from maybe your leg or a pig's artery and put it there so blood could get redirected and go over that blockage. I know, it's insane. It sounds so rudimentary. So like ridiculously simple, yet again, simple works. What's better than this is preventing us from eating too much fats, oils, and grease. I'm gonna go over that when I go over the 6 classes of nutrient. That's a hint for later. Number 2, this was like the first discovery in nutrition, was thiamine or vitamin 1. And when we don't have B1, we go with berry. Berry means I can't. One of the worst words you could say ever, the 2 words. I tell my son in our house, don't ever say I can't. I'd rather have you drop the F-bomb than say I can't. Because like Henry Ford said, or whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That's why that mental, spiritual plane is so essential to your growth and you thriving. Drop the notes in the comments. Write notes in your notebooks, because what? Write it down, make it happen. When you write it down, you remember. it gets into a deeper processing in your brain. And once it gets into your subconscious mind, when it gets emotionally charged of a thought, it becomes a belief, and it gets impregnated into your subconscious brain. We have faith, we have belief. That's why faith means fetus, birthing. You birth an idea. It impregnates into your subconscious and it becomes on autopilot. You start to say, oh man, I'm gonna get my B vitamins. That's why we're going over the why factor. Why these 6 essential nutrients are going to help you in every aspect of life. Your heart, your nerves. This was a nervous disorder. Your brain. So your body, right? You're going to be able to function better. We weren't able to function. We didn't know why for a long time. And in around 1900, the early 1900s, we discovered vitamin B1. How, you ask? Great question. This one scientist was taking polishings of rice. We polish rice. White rice and brown rice are the same rice grain. We just take the brown rice and we refine it, so we polish it, and then we get rid of the other part of the rice. That is the bran and the germ. So we have a bran and a germ. You've had wheat germ before, maybe. You've had wheat bran before. Same thing with rice. We get constipated, we have wheat bran, right? Because that is the fiber. We lack nutrition, we have wheat germ, because that is where the main parts of the nutrition are held, in the germ of the grain. It has a lot of protein, has some essential fatty acids, it has vitamins and minerals. Why would we ever remove that, you ask? Great question. It increases shelf life. It preserves it. And then we notice it kind of tastes better. That's a cultural thing and a perception thing. Tastes better. We get used to it and we start becoming addicted to it. Like, people think cigarettes and coffee and alcohol taste good. You feed that to any child, they don't think it tastes good. Culturally, we eat very different foods. Around the world, 80% of people, and drop it in the comments if you eat insects. So many people are grossed out by that, bugged out by that, but much of the world eats insects and then eats different animals. Some people eat monkeys, some people eat cows, some people eat kangaroos and horses, some people eat pigs. Pigs will eat their own poop. Pigs will eat a human if you threw a dead human into the pit. They'll eat just about anything. My point is not to demonize a food, it's to show you it's very cultural experience. Imagination, one of our greatest superpowers. Appreciation, another great superpower. Expectation, you can't live without eating this or this or this. It's a cultural indoctrination, and you have the power to overcome it. So we started refining rice, we got used to it, became a cultural norm. And this one guy, I believe it was Christopher Ekman, he's a scientist, and he started taking the rice polishings and feeding them to his sick chickens. They had beriberi too. They were lacking vitamin B1, right? Lacking it. Not enough vitamin B1. And when the chickens got the rice polishings, they got enough B1. They became healthy. They started thriving. Their feathers got better. Their skin got better. They didn't have nerve damage, so they're able to walk and eat properly. So he said, well, that's interesting. Let me experiment. He was a scientist. He fed them to people with beriberi. They got better. Tried to understand what it was. They thought it was like a bacteria or something. They didn't really know. This was our first discovery of a vitamin, a vital amine. That was only about 100 years ago. That is amazing. And we're still refining grains. Why? Shelf life, taste, cultural indoctrination. We actually don't get sick because we enrich them. It sounds like a really powerful word, but we just sprinkle on enrichment, right? We just sprinkle on synthetic vitamins and minerals onto the food so we don't get sick anymore. B1 and other nutrients. It's not as good. When you look at a vitamin or a mineral synthesized, meaning man-made, it just doesn't look the same and it doesn't have that same power, right? For the human, it's not assimilated in the same way. And right, we have digestion, assimilation, where we get the nutrient to become one with us. Like glucose, for instance. Glucose is sugar in the blood. We all need sugar in the blood. If we don't, we're dead. When you put sugar in the blood and it goes into the cell, that's when you prevent diabetes. How do you do that? Not just with insulin, which is a hormone, but with activity. You start pumping your muscles can put that glucose or blood sugar into the cell. So that's assimilation. Now, we also need elimination. So that fiber, that bran, helps us eliminate the food. If you've ever been constipated, you understand the importance of elimination. Get really sick, uncomfortable, bloated, unable to like move and exercise because it hurts, painful, right? The simple answer to that is fiber. We're going to go over where to get fiber in just a minute. Let me go over one more quick reason why to do this, because it's not about willpower, ladies and gentlemen. It's about why power. What is your why? Why are you here? Why are you watching this? Why do you wish to increase your nutrition level, your awareness level, your health and fitness level? Kids, right? You may have a surface to feel better, to look better. Why? Ask yourself why 7 times over. Most of the time, the 7th why is to be happy, to be healthy, to leave a legacy, to become a better person, not just to get a goal, but to grow. We have goals to grow, not just to get. Belief builds behavior. You must create a strong belief. An emotionally charged thought is a belief. It's a why. And when you tap into that why, all this stuff becomes easy. It becomes a no-brainer that you're going to do it. The information alone does not create transformation. We've got to get emotionally charged information to create that transformation. Are you with me? Drop some stuff in the comments. Get involved. Get emotional about this. Stand up. Be like, yes, this is my new me. I'm transforming. If you need more help, by the way, I've helped thousands of people transform their lives with nutrition. I've been doing this for 27 years. A doctorate in nutrition and natural health, a master's in nutrition, undergrad in exercise science, taught in university for a decade, and had students lining up, still in contact with them because their life has changed. I knew I needed to teach. But I do like the reciprocal aspect, to see you, to be able to hear you. I go live often. If you'd like to be in the room, because when you're in the room, just one little gem could change everything. 1 little % of a change in your life could change the trajectory of your entire life. Proximity, if you're in the room, the location, it changes proclivity, what you'd like to do. Proximity changes proclivity. So if you'd like to get in the room, come to yourlasttrainer.com and you could get in the room so we could go over this and go over exactly what's happening with you. Feel free to drop a Q&A in the comments, or a question in the comments, so maybe I make another video about your question, about your problem, about what you're struggling about, so we could go to the next level. Number 3 is scurvy. Oh, let's change that. Scurvy. Now, scurvy is not so popular anymore. Most people have just enough, again, surviving, of vitamin C to not lose your hair, to not lose your nails, to not have your gums bleed and your teeth just dropping out. Scurvy is, does anyone know? Before I say it, drop it in the comments. What vitamin are you missing with scurvy? Beriberi is B1, scurvy is vitamin C, called the Christ vitamin because it's so essential. It's actually proof that we need plants. That's why I start off holding that wonderful flower. It contains vitamin C. Plants contain vitamin C. Animals do not contain vitamin C. This is why Inuit or indigenous like Alaskan Eskimo, they will actually cut a seal's stomach open and eat the innards of a seal's stomach to get like the plants of the sea, because they don't have many plants in Alaska because it's so cold. And they need plants not just once a year, but really optimally once a day, multiple times a day. That's why it's recommended to have 5 to 10 fruits and vegetables every day. We need to eat our plants because we are not, contrary to some people's belief, we are not carnivores. We need vitamin C. Carnivores produce their own vitamin C. So we need to consume vitamin C, and we get it through plants, fruits and vegetables. Not so much in grains and nuts and seeds, mainly in fruits and vegetables, especially fruits. And we're going to go over that a little more, but scurvy in history, scurvy was really powerful, right? Why? Because the first intercontinental voyage that the whole ship didn't die, no one died, they thrived, was Captain Cook. Why? Because they understand to eat these plants, to eat those flowers, to eat these greens, right? This one's strong, this one's an herb. We season our meats and our food with herbs. This is a lemon basil, right? This is a loquat, right? This bigger tree. This right here, I don't want to pick that one. It's flowering, so it'll produce some seeds. This right here is moringa. And you can see even the moringa itself has a mineral deficiency, right? Just those 2 leaves, but the rest are glorious. This is a multivitamin. This has been shown all around the world. People grow moringa. It's called the miracle tree because it's miraculous. Excuse me. Children that are, or mothers that are not lactating, will receive moringa. And when they get moringa, they are able to lactate, give breast milk. And when the children are given this, these are toddlers, not many little kids are fed moringa or other foods besides breast milk because they need breast milk in the beginning. When my child was 1, I got him breast milk from other moms since he was 5 months old. And I'm a single parent, and I would feed him moringa. Not just like this, I'd dry it out, powderize it, mix it with coconut water and coconut milk and a little bit of seaweed. I have another video on that. It's older, it's like 8 years old, how to make breast milk, right? Because this is like a multivitamin. Most greens are multivitamins. We used to say eat your minerals, which would be eat your greens. Now we have so much processed packaged food that we skip out on fruits and vegetables. Most of the world eat an abundant amount of fruits and vegetables. That's why there's a difference of diseases of affluence versus diseases of poverty. Diseases of poverty are more communicable diseases, probably because they don't get enough nutrients, meaning they don't have enough calories, but they have usually more nutrition, more nutrients than us, meaning vitamins and minerals. Americans, we tend to have too much calories, refined carbohydrates, protein, too much fats, oils, grease, and we're going to get into that right now. But the point is Captain Cook went around the world and people didn't die from scurvy because they would get plants. They would have plants. Even they would be called, you might have heard the term limeys. Limeys are because sailors would be chewing on limes all the time to get vitamin C. I think that's why you're not allowed to bring a banana on a boat, because bananas release a gas that speeds up the ripening process of other fruits and vegetables. And when we're on a boat, we don't want to speed up the ripening process. We want to slow it down because we don't have access to other plants. Unless you're eating seaweed in the insides of a fish or a seal like the Inuit. I know it doesn't sound so appetizing, but again, appetizing appreciation is a cultural thing, a belief, using your imagination. That's why I say your superpowers are appreciation, imagination, expectation, and it's very essential to apply that towards everything, because how you do anything is how you do everything. All right, now we're going to get into the classes of nutrition. Now that we went over the why, we're going to go over the how. Nutrients. We have 6 classes of nutrients. Does anyone know what they are? Write them down in the comments before I say them, if you know. Our first class of nutrient. Matter of fact, I'm going to skip over 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 3 we generally put calorie containing, right? So calories, because we need calories. We can't survive, even though some people have claimed to survive. And I've seen even this one guy in India, he was put in a observation lab and studied. He had no water or food for 9 days. Mind-blowing. He didn't excrete anything and he was thriving. He was cognizant, aware, able to move and exercise. That's a very rare case, right? We're not going off of those cases. These are we still don't understand how. But we understand how with nutrition, for the most part, that we need calories. We know we need X amount of calories every day. Why? Because we've studied it over and over again. For the military is one of other major studies, because we need soldiers to be able to output, to work. So to output, we need an input. Calories are input. We have 3 nutrients, hopefully you already have listed them and you know them, that are calorie containing. And we have 3 that are 0 calories. What nutrients are 0 calories? I'm going to give you a big hint. What can you not live for 3 days without? Water. You need water. We not only need to drink clear, clean drinking water, I like to say about 10 glasses a day. So you're at about 80 ounces. You're pretty close to there. If it's really hot out, you need a gallon a day, which is 128 ounces. Generally, it's said to have however much you weigh in ounces of water a day. I think what's even more accurate, especially because we tend to lose count even in one day, with so much to be aware of, and we change our attention, which changes our direction, is when you urinate, it should be clear and a heavy flow. It doesn't need to be as clear as water. It could have a tint to it. Some recommend it definitely should have a tint to it, but it should be pretty clear. If it's super yellow and stinky, you know you are very dehydrated and you're lacking ability to function. Just 1% dehydration, that's even before you start feeling thirst. 1% dehydration could be 10% decrease in your level of functioning. That's why athletes are always going to be hydrated. In fact, 6% dehydration is death. And that's why we will monitor the weight of an athlete doing ultra athletic endeavors like an ultra marathon or even a marathon. We don't always do that, but over 26 miles, we're going to usually monitor the weight of a person. And if they drop weight too much, then we know they are too dehydrated and need to either hydrate up or just get out of the race. No calories, yet we need a good amount of it. What else do we need? I've said it a few times. I hope you understand. V&M, vitamins and minerals. Now, I could go on. This video could be 8 hours long easily. This was days and days and days of classes. In fact, months, years, semesters of classes to really go over this. Textbooks are filled with this. I'm going to give you the simplest version because you may not be interested in getting a nutrition degree. You just want to understand how to revamp your metabolism, feel better, sleep better, be able to function so that your muscles contract. Your muscles aren't contracting. You may have an imbalance of minerals. Your sodium potassium pump is one of the major reasons why you're able to contract your muscle. And what do we get more of, sodium or potassium? I think everyone knows sodium, salt. Processed foods are the #1 source of salt. So switching up your processed foods, you have to completely eliminate them. Some processed foods are actually good for you. When we cook, we process a food. When we highly refine a food, then we start to get away from the nutrition. Why? Because God perfectly packaged and placed all of the wonderful nutrients for us. The trees, the fruits, the plants. Unrefined, unprocessed nutrition has like a perfect ratio. Minerals, we used to say eat your minerals is your greens. It's a great way of getting minerals is vegetables. Vegetables. So if you would like to balance your sodium potassium pump, eat the 5 to 10 fruits and vegetables and eat less or none of ultra refined foods, ultra processed packaged refined foods, because processed and packaged foods are where most people get a lot of their salt from. We need a 1-to-4 ratio, 4 times as much potassium as sodium, and most people have that backwards. When we process and package foods like canning vegetables, we get 10 times as much sodium as we had once, and then we have less potassium, so it's like 10-to-1. We're supposed to reverse that, 4-to-1 potassium. Great sources of potassium, greens, celery. Here, example of processing food and it being good and slightly refining it is sugarcane juice. Drinking the sugarcane, great source of potassium. Even as a stimulant, like with caffeine in it, yerba mate has a great source of potassium and magnesium. Bananas, figs, persimmons, red pepper, sweet bell pepper, great sources of potassium to balance that sodium potassium pump so you don't have cramps, so that you start to love to exercise because you're having the proper fuel. If you're putting diesel in a car, you know it's going to break down when it needs gasoline. Our bodies are similar. You're feeding your body diesel fuel by having so much not natural food. It's pretty simple. A natural light, right? Vitamins. What are the greatest sources of vitamins? Let's keep it simple. Keep it simple, superhero, is fruit. To have an abundant source of fruit is an abundant source of vitamins. So simple. I'm going to keep it at that. Where do we have other vitamins and minerals? Sure, you have them in animal products, meat, yet a lot of our meat and even cheese is so processed, it's considered carcinogenic. Red meat is considered a carcinogen. I'm not making it up. Go look at it. It's considered a carcinogen, cancer-causing agent like cigarettes. Hot dogs. Having children, there's been a university study. 1 hot dog every month, just 12 a year, increases the chance of leukemia, cancer of the blood. So a lot of the times the meat is so processed, And even when it's not processed, factory farmed, the quality, what they're feeding the animals that you're eating, what they're eating becomes what you're eating. They have GMO soy, they have corn that's not really meant to be eaten by a cow. They have a lot of processed food themselves. Like a chicken that's farm raised is so different from a chicken, I don't want to say cage free, because sometimes those labels have loopholes. Cage free, but that's just for an hour a day and they still aren't eating wild. If you could find the farmer and say, are your chickens happy? Are your cows healthy and happy? What do they eat? They graze. They graze multiple varieties of grass, different species of grass. The chickens eat different bugs and worms. You're good. You're golden. It's going to be so much different of nutrition. So that has some minerals, not much vitamins. Vitamins are mainly in fruit and plants. Have a little vitamins in there though. And nuts and seeds like hemp seed, poppy seed, great sources of iron, great sources of magnesium, manganese, zinc, copper. Some people have so little of these minerals, that's why they don't want to exercise. So raise the bar, create a new standard for yourself. You got 10 fingers, simple, count. I had an apple, I had an orange, I had a melon, I had a peach, I had a pear, I had a plum, I had blueberries, I had spinach, I had broccoli rabe, I had kale. Ooh, I'm getting overboard here. This is great. What's a serving size? It's pretty darn big. It's like that big for a fruit and even bigger for a vegetable. Fist size or bigger, like a bowl. A cup full. Talk about abundance. That's probably why a lot of people are obese or overweight, because they're constantly trying to get this nutrition and get full. I think fiber should be on here, but fiber is actually categorized as a carb, right? Fiber is part of the carbs. That's why when people say they're going carb free, I'm like, and then they throw in this net carb, so fiber gets minused out, because fiber is undigested and goes through your intestinal tract undigested. It's a sweeper. It clean sweeps your intestinal tract. So imagine cleaning your house or your teeth or your body without a toothbrush or a scrub brush or a cloth or a broom or a mop. Your house would be dirty. Your house is dirty if you're not having fiber. What's enough fiber? 5 to 10 fruits and vegetables. How do you tell? Just like hydration, not with your pee, but with the other elimination factor. A bowel movement every time you eat. 3 times a day. If you're not pooping once a day, you're not having enough fiber. If you're pooping 3 times a day, that's good, but I've had conversations with people that are pooping pebbles or irregular poops or diarrhea. That's not enough fiber. 5 to 10 fruits and vegetables a day, whole grains. You don't want to have grains. You could also have carbohydrates in the source of vegetables: sweet potato, yam, yucca, white potato, pumpkin, calabaza, carrots, peas, beans. Throughout the world, people still eat an abundance of these, and that's why they don't get as sick. Diseases of affluence, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, is so preventable with these foods. Fiber also creates a colony, a community of good bacteria that starts to crave more of the good food. You may be on the opposite side of that spectrum, where you have bad bacteria and you're craving refined carbohydrates, processed packaged meats and cheeses, because you're culturally indoctrinated in your mind, and your body on the physical plane is also it's not even you craving, it's the bacteria in your stomach craving these foods. And your taste buds change after about 2 to 4 weeks. So does the bacteria in your stomach, maybe even quicker. Divine timing is with patience and patience and persistence, and you'll persevere. So give it time. Give yourself 30 to 90 days. You've given yourself maybe 30 to 90 days or 3 to 9 years of eating the other way or longer. So give it time to change. Don't be so hard on yourself. Appreciate every little win you have. Use your imagination to visualize vibrantly your expectation of how you would like to change, and give thanks for where you are now and where you're going. So fruits and vegetables are a great carbohydrate, great source of fiber. This should be more than half of your diet, right? This should be as little as 45, but up to 80% of what you're eating. Throughout the world, a lot of people are 70 to 80% carbohydrate that are just outstanding athletes living as indigenous people, not getting sick. You do not want to drop under 45%. So your plate should really be mostly carbs. I know that's contrary to popular belief. I'm not talking about white pasta, white rice, although Asia does pretty well with white rice and Italy does pretty well with white pasta. Why? Because they color their carbs. What do I mean by that? This right here, right? My baby boy, he eats tons of fruits and vegetables, but he's starting to really love pasta. And I'm like, man, you eat pasta too much. You're choosing that every day. It's whole wheat pasta. It's good, nice red sauce. Forgive me, I don't make the sauce myself. That would be another bonus because the tomatoes are fresh. And then herbs in that sauce. But we cover it with this moringa. Just put it on raw. Put it on raw. And then the hot pasta cooks it or steams it just on the plate. You could cook it too. You could cook spinach. Put this on there. Boom. Super nutrition. Abundance of nutrition. Changes the whole plate. There's a great TED Talk, Sunny Savage, You Can Eat This. You can eat that too. And it's about coloring, like I think she used like ramen noodles and colored her carbs with a bunch of herbs and wild harvested plants. So the carbs, focus on whole grains and fruits and vegetables as your carbs, and you're going to notice your weight, your skin, your fuel, so energy level, your mental clarity, your sleep, the contraction of your muscle is going to just be ignited. Is a world of a difference. Again, be patient and persistent. The first week or two, disruption follows intention, meaning it usually gets hard before it gets easy. Hard on the front end, easy on the back end. Big up Myron Golden. If it's easy in the beginning, it's probably going to become hard. It's easy to eat pizza, chips, hamburgers, hot dogs, candy, cakes, and chips and dip. Easy to eat that in the beginning, then it becomes hard. It might seem hard in the beginning to switch your diet to fruits and vegetables. Focus on fruit first. Vegetables, whole grains. Why do I say fruit first? Because you need the calories. Vegetables don't have much calories. Even fruits are so low in calories. People think they're high in sugar. It's a high ratio of sugar. It's a low amount of calories. So it's really a low amount of sugar because it's a low calorie food. Why? Because it's mainly fiber and water. Eat your water. All right, I told you I could go on and on. I love this stuff. I've studied this stuff for almost 3 decades. I'm just hitting the tip of the iceberg. If you want to go deeper, yourlasttrainer.com. Join me. Carbs, what else? What's another one of the nutrients that's calories containing? I know everyone wants to say protein because that's the new obsession. Oh, I before E, except after C. That's the new obsession is protein. But we need about 12% protein in the diet. Very small amount. 12% is what the textbooks say. Most people are overloaded on protein. You don't want to look like a bodybuilder, like jacked up, but so many females and people dieting eat like a bodybuilder, trying to eat all this protein. Following one of the first diets ever known, the Atkins diet. That's a temporary thing. It's not meant to be permanent. It's probably because you're so inactive, you don't need much fuel. Carbs are our #1 fuel source, according to every textbook I have ever read. on nutrition. Your number one source of fuel or energy is carbohydrate. That gets you to be active. If you're not active, yeah, I would say, I guess maybe you don't need carbs, but that doesn't make sense. That's like, let's not make sense and let's not make sense further. You need to be active and you need carbohydrate. Next up is fat. So we want to have a good amount of fats in the diet, more than protein. We need about, right, let's say 60% carbs as being moderate. And we need about 20% fat. Some say as low as 10%. And then we need about, we could go, let's go to 25% actually carbs. Now listen, not many people, even if you are monitoring your macronutrients, these are your macronutrients, this top half, macros, right? And these are your micronutrients because we need them in smaller amounts. Like B12, for instance, it's bacteria poop, right? B12 is a bacteria, and it's considered a vitamin, a vital amine, because we need it. It's essential to our health to thrive and even survive. We need 2.4 micrograms. That is 2.4 millionths of a gram. Take 1 gram and divide it 1,000,000 times, and you need 2.4 of those of B12, of vitamin. Very small amount. That's why they're micronutrition. Macro, we need grams, ounces of this stuff. We need a good amount of carbohydrates. We need like 300 grams of carbohydrate, 20 to 40 grams of fat, or 40 to 60. But essential fatty acids, we need even less. And we need about 12%, so we say 15%, right? 15, 25, 60, right? So that's 20, 30, 40, 100%. We're always estimating. I definitely recommend use Chronometer or FitDay to get an estimation, because it's hard to just calculate this on paper. You can even use ChatGPT or AI and say, could you estimate my macronutrients and micronutrients? What micro or macronutrients do I need to increase, decrease? These are your calories. These are your nutrition, your nutrients, your micronutrients. Fat, that's another story I'll finish on, is O3s, or your EFAs. Your essential fatty acids are a very microcosm of the macrocosm, like us. We're a microcosm of the macrocosm. With protein, we need essential amino acids. We have about 9 of them, 9 when we're adolescent, 8 when we're older. It's kind of, different evidence about that, but we need about 9. We have 22 amino acids. From those 9 essential amino acids, we make the other 22. We create them in our bodies. Our bodies are the most amazing, intricate machines ever known to man. Our minds are capable of more than a computer. Any computer, supercomputer. So fats, the O3s, O6, O9, O3, O6, O9, those are essential fatty acids. They say we need 40 to 60 grams of fat. Yet, we only need like less than 2 grams of essential fatty acids, and then we can make other fats. That's why some people say we need as little as 10% fat, because they're eating really nutrient-dense fats. What I mean by nutrient-dense fats, they're eating the right fats, nuts and seeds, fruits and vegetables, instead of tons of animal fats or copious amounts of oils or vegetable seed oils. Sometimes really people demonize those. It's just that when you eat oils, you kind of get too much abundance of the oil, right? Fats, oil, grease, fog. You don't want to put them down your drain into much of amounts. Have the whole food version of the fat, olives instead of olive oil. Now, this could be a large discussion, because olive oil does have a lot of benefits, mainly because most Americans and most people around the world aren't getting their EFAs. Final story right here. And remember, throw some notes in the comments, throw some questions. your problems, your struggles in the comments, or what did you receive that really helped you? So I could understand that what I'm getting, you're receiving. What I'm giving, you're getting. So a story about this girl, you could look her up. They called her, what'd they call her? I think she had a name, like the fish and chips girl or something. She would only eat fish and chips, right? No, excuse me, that was another person. The chicken McNugget girl, I believe you could find her. She only ate chicken McNuggets and sometimes fries. She did this for decades. Like, she was like 16, 17, that's all she ate after like being a baby with baby food. Then she started just eat chicken McNuggets. And she passed out and collapsed. Duh, it's gonna happen sooner or later. And I would think she needs like an IV of vitamins and minerals, which she got. But you know what else was in the IV? It's fat. She had more than 60 grams of fat every day by chicken McNuggets. They're heavy in fat, but they're low in essential fatty acids. So they had to give her those omega-3, 6, and 9s, which are abundant in things like hemp seed and different seeds. Even star fruit has, it's a type of fruit, carambola. Another fruit you may understand is like dragon fruit or strawberries. They have the seeds. You could see the seeds in strawberries. So they have some good essential fatty acids because they're eating that seed. Hemp has the same ratio of omega-3, 6, and 9 as our brain. So it's important to get these essential fatty acids. Then you don't need as much fat. This girl that ate 60 plus grams of fat a day, the recommended daily value, didn't get enough fat because she didn't get the essential fatty acids from her chicken McNuggets and fries. I'm surprised she didn't get scurvy. But it takes a very little amount of food, again with the title, to survive comparatively to thriving. The question is, are you gonna thrive or survive? Are you gonna let cultural indoctrination, your imagination, control you, or are you gonna control it? Are you gonna have beliefs that control you, or are you gonna control your beliefs? Are you gonna create new beliefs by having thoughts that you emotionally charge so that you can take charge and direct yourself towards your dreams instead of by default to someone else's dreams? Go to your destiny by designing your life and going in the direction that gets you there. Congratulations for being here. Subscribe because I go live and you will be notified. You need to build your network. Your algorithm must change so you change. Proclivity changes, or proximity changes proclivity. Who you're around changes what you like to do. So that girl, she's okay. She got omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins and minerals like vitamin C in a bag injected into her. Another trivia fact, do you know that coconut water is so pure that we actually put it into our blood in World War II as an IV? Because it's saline, it has that perfect little amount of salt and a perfect balance, more potassium than salt. God provided us everything we need. All you need to do is believe and follow the ways. That's why Christ, the ultimate metaphysician, he knew the way, and that's why I teach more than just the physical plane of nutrition. I teach about the metaphysical laws of the other planes of reality that are bigger, right? Bigger. I said I was gonna finish up. One last thing, because I'd like you to remember this, is how many planes of existence do we have? Head, heart, hands, mind, body, soul. We have the physical plane of existence. That's the nutrition. And so many of you know exactly what to do and don't do it. And you could learn more, as you probably just experienced. You're like, oh my Lord. That's number one. Number two, we're really number one is the spiritual, right? But they're all 33%. I'd like to say spiritual is more, but we do need to take action. But the cause of all effects, this is the effect land. The cause is spiritual. With man, nothing is possible. With God, everything is possible. And then we could tap into God and spiritual with the mental plane, infinite intelligence. So you must believe to receive. You must believe and use your imagination. Imagination creates everything. Your imagination is tapping into infinite intelligence. That's why people say, oh, I just got this idea out of nowhere. Because God dwells where? The kingdom of God is within. The kingdom of heaven is within. We create heaven or create hell. You're not going to take action without the why, without that mental plane, spiritual plane. Then the physical is easy. Be to have. I have other videos about that. Thank you so much for being here. Love you. Blessed love.